Hi there, I'm Terry Austin, Pearson Faculty Advisor, and I would like to take just a few moments to introduce you to one of the most exciting advances in anatomy and physiology instruction in a long time. It's called VidaBody, and it's currently available in Mastering A&P with Merib and Hohen's Human Anatomy and Physiology 10th edition. So let's take a look at VidaBody. Let's begin by touring the interface. Across the left-hand side, we have a menu that we'll come back and look at in a moment. But for now, let me take you to the lower right-hand corner and point out our controls on the bottom here. We have a home button, which brings the patient on screen to standard anatomical position. You can turn on labels, call-outs. You can take snapshots. We can wake up our camera controls, and the camera controls are actually quite powerful because this is completely interactive. We have the ability to rotate, to manipulate in the XY plane, to zoom in or out on our specimen, and pretty much to manipulate in any way we would like to. We also have the ability to return with home to standard anatomical position. We can look at any organ system we care to. Let me turn on the digestive system. We'll turn on some clothes. We'll turn on the integumentary system. And again, we can turn, rotate, zoom, move in the XY. Some of the real power, though, with Vida is going to come in the tours that are assignable. Right now, we have one tour available for inspection, and that is the heart. So I'm going to open that tour now, and we'll take a look.
Size, shape, location, and orientation of the heart in the thorax. The heart is located in the medial cavity of the thorax, called the mediastinum. It extends from the second rib to the fifth intercostal space, with 2/3 of its mass to the left of the mid-sternal line. It lies anterior to the vertebral column and posterior to the sternum. The lungs flank the heart laterally and partially obscure it. As it rests on the superior surface of the diaphragm, the narrow end of the heart, called the apex, points inferiorly toward the left hip. The heart is about the size of a man's fist and weighs about 250 to 350 grams, less than a pound.
I'm going to jump forward several scenes to show a particular piece of detail I think you might be interested in. We've gotten to a point where we're looking at the layers of the heart wall, and what I'd like you to see here is we very much go macro to micro. As this next scene proceeds, you're going to begin to see some histological details of heart muscle itself. It's quite amazing, and I wanted to be sure you saw this particular section. So let me start the next scene.
The middle layer, the myocardium, is composed mainly of cardiac muscle and forms the bulk of the heart. Contraction of the myocardium pumps blood out of the heart.
Moving on, we're going to get even more detail in a 3D rendering.
Notice that the cardiac muscle cells are short, branched, and striated. The dark-stained areas are the intercalated discs or junctions between adjacent cells.
I'd like to remind you that even at this level, we're still not watching a video. We are in a 3D rendering, which we can grab and rotate and turn at any point in the session. This, in my mind, is outstanding in a lecture setting. Again, you can zoom in and look at more detail, and we can move on and look at the next scene.
Intercalated discs contain desmosomes and gap junctions. Anchoring desmosomes keep the myocytes from pulling apart during contraction. Gap junctions allow ions to pass from cell to cell.
I'm going to jump forward another section or two so you can see some more detail that I think you'd like to see, and then we'll stop this and look at how you would assign this particular type of tour in Mastering A&P. This next scene actually illustrates the bolus of blood moving through the heart quite nicely. Wanted to be sure you saw this.
Blood flow through the heart. The heart has 4 chambers, 2 upper chambers called atria and 2 lower chambers called ventricles. They're separated longitudinally by an atrioventricular septum. Functionally, the heart is a double pump. The right side of the heart is the pulmonary circuit pump, and the left side of the heart is the systemic circuit pump.
Notice we see the traditional coloring blue and red for deoxygenated versus oxygenated blood. And again, I'll remind you that this is not a video. It is very much a 3D rotatable, zoomable figure. Now, I told you that these tours for VidaBody were assignable. We see that here on the calendar in mastering. I've got an assignment available for VidaBody. As I open this up and look at the student view, what we have is a tour, as we just saw. The students could open and watch the same tour you and I just took a little look at. They would then proceed through the entire tour. They do not have the ability to leave and go look at other body parts. When they complete that, they come back and work through these very nice activities. They can arrange terms to make a particular sense that they learned in the tour. They can answer multiple choice questions and get feedback on their answers. There are some drag and drop activities that let them label items that they've learned about. Some grouping activities that they can participate in, some sentence completion activities that they can do along the way to illustrate that they actually did learn something as they did the tour. And of course, these assignable items are graded, and those grades turn up in the Mastering Grade book. We're not quite done yet, though. I'd like to show you that VidaBody has a lot of power still remaining when you leave the tours. So I'm going to go a little off script, open the body systems, and take you on my own personal tour. We will be opening the digestive system by clicking the I next to the word digestive. I'm going to turn off the skeletal system and leave it behind. I'll open the disclosure triangle next to digestive and see what items we can turn on or off. I'll turn off the accessory organs. I'll turn off the upper GI tract. At this point, we're focused on the large intestine and the rectum, and what I'm going to do is kind of center us up and zoom in, and we're going to do a virtual colonoscopy. I'll zoom a bit more. You can see the labels are in place. I'm going to focus on the ascending colon. As we get closer, you'll begin to see some connective tissue. As we get a little bit closer, we will find ourselves inside. I'm going to rotate so we can look up the length of the ascending colon. And now we have, again, a very nicely done virtual colonoscopy. You can see the haustra, the little in-pocketings in the colon. I'll take us back to standard anatomical position and say thank you for your time here with VidaBody.